Hey everybody, it's Mitchell Alomar here. I'm with Bridget Bartlett. Bridget, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
I see you over my news feed. I see you over my YouTube videos. I'm so excited to have you and share your story about your business, your family, certain things that people didn't even know about you. Bridget, let's get into tell us about your business. What do you do if nobody recognizes you or they do? Just a little reminder.
Well, thank you for that. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity because you're all over the place. Yes, Lola. I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So, to make a long story short, in 2019, my husband and I owned a local lawn care business. I also worked in a pharmacy for 20 years. He was actually in an accident that made him think about, he was a truck driver. It made him think about like starting a new business and all that. So that's kind of why we got into all of this in the first place. But in 2019, I was in the hustle mode. I was going from client to client and all of that, like we typically do. And in 2019, my mom, she was in the hospital for a couple weeks, actually a week, and then the next week we were planning the funeral. So full transparency, I was out, didn't care about the world for 2 weeks. I barely left the bed. It was really traumatic for me. I felt like I was an orphan at that point. I
So
grew up without a dad. So
let's start one topic at a. So let's start first where the passing of your mother led you into automation. And we were talking before about when your mom passed away, you didn't have your dad in your life, and it was your mom sparked an idea, or not really like push, this idea of automation. So I'm so sorry for your mom passing away, and she's led you having a beautiful life to you being with us and helping. So tell us about your mom's passing, awakening the automation, that lifestyle.
I was really overwhelmed by, during that 2 weeks when I came out of my cloud. I was really overwhelmed by the idea that when I wasn't working, I wasn't making money. I still had a mortgage that was due the next month. It's like the mortgage company doesn't really care that my mom passed away. I still have bills. And so I was like, so what if something else happens? Like this was a big thing for me, but what if something else happens to where I can't work? Like maybe I am in the hospital for something. And so I realized at that moment I had to do something different. I needed a different business model that could generate the reoccurring income for me instead of constantly chasing clients and you work on a project and it might be a paying project, but the next month you're looking for another client. And I knew that was not a sustainable business model. I had to do something different. And the only way that we can earn money without actually being present is with automation. So that's
So
really, it's so much more than just saving money, right? It's the time that we are literally creating because we get that time back. We don't have to spend 8 hours sending 55 emails. We just set that on autopilot. It sends it for us while we're doing other things. I just think that it's such a powerful thing to be able to literally create time.
you create time, like when you told me before, like when your mother passed away, you was in bed for 2 weeks and the mortgage doesn't wait for you. When my dad passed away, I wanted to spend a year or two to like not do anything. And when my dad passed away, I remember like I'd not to be graphic, but he passed away 7 days in the house and nobody knew he was there. And I remember I was working for a company and the company said, Mitch, I know your dad passed away, but where's his Google Drive folder? Let's try to focus. And I had to go through grieving, and I know my bills still needed to be paid, and I was crying and I still needed to work. And I think you figured out like you spent 2 weeks, like let's say something else happened in your life, and those 2 weeks, like how do you make passive automation? That's I and if anybody passed away, I think they could relate to that, where you don't want to do anything, and there's moments in your life that you will feel like that. So
And you know that the bills are coming due, but you just don't care because it's what you're going through is more overwhelming than the thought of, oh, my mortgage is due next month. It's like, I'll figure all of that out. But right now, I literally remember so many times, especially the first few days, that my husband would be talking to me about normal life stuff. Like, oh, the dog got out today. And I'm like, I don't care. My mom just died. It's
yeah.
like, I don't care. Do you realize my mom just died? It was so like overwhelming for me that, of course, I don't care that a client doesn't have access to the Google Drive. my mom just died. It's that feeling of like nothing takes precedence over what I'm going through right now.
Yeah, especially your mom being an only figure in your life, that it's like that's your life. It's like your life was crumbling down, and it sparked the automation. Like even like my dad passing, he sparked an idea for me to break free of what if something happens, like that one client can't control your life.
Mhm.
It's happened in my life, or if something happens in my life, I have to like cut a client go. They're
Mhm.
like, you're gonna choose this or choose that. I'm like, I can't. Well, you could fire me. Like that broke free of like things are gonna happen in your life, and automation is gonna be there to replace your time because things will happen.
Mhm.
So I think that was, like you said, you know, so your mom passing created automation. I wanted to also spark into a little bit about your business, a little bit positivity, a little bit, I said, Bridget, I'm gonna use my fingers. So, a little positivity to spark up the history. You said to me for the last 5 years, you jump on a daily, was it webinar or coaching call that everybody, the free community gets to speak to you every single. Wait, so Bridget, everybody could speak to you on a daily basis? Is that what you're saying? Tell us about that. What's that looking like?
It's so crazy. I don't think anybody does this, what I do. Yet I'm teaching them though.
Okay.
But when I was going through this whole journey and I was like obsessed with automation, so many people would ask me, like, how do I do this? And how do I do that? So I started creating tutorial videos because I thought it's so cool. It's like, I figure something out and I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody in the world needs to know how to do this. So I just started creating tutorial videos of how to do it. I actually got hired by another software company and I did the local business marketing and support. And so that's kind of my job was to go live 5 days a week. When I stopped working with them, though, I just continued that. I just already had like a good flow. And over the years, I have just made it more efficient and more effective at the same time. Starting my community was part of that because we never want to rely on social media for our business. We want to have our business in a safe, secure place that we have control over. And so all of my social media efforts are geared towards sending to my community. So what I was saying, this is a magical thing that happens in this community, okay? So you do the live training, right? And then you say, if you have questions, now keep in mind, they know you're live every day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? So they know they're expecting you, right? So every day they're expecting you at that time. So you go live with a training that you can pre-record, by the way. And after the training's over, your call to action is, if you have questions, join me in open office hours. So now what's happening is I am showing them that I'm a valuable resource. I just showed you how to do this and I want to help you more. So if you join our free community, you can join in the Zoom room. But this magical thing happens. They join the Zoom room and they're a little bit like, what's all this about? Like, am I really gonna see Bridget here? Is like, is this beginner friendly? Like, they're just so insecure. And then as soon as they come in and they say, hey, this is my first time joining, all of my members are like, you're in the right place. This is so great. Welcome. And don't worry. And we got you. And it's just such a great feeling. I tell them all the time when I hear them doing that, I feel like a proud mama because I'm like, you guys just, it's like I put you guys together. I built this community. I put all of these amazing people together in one place. And so when they're helping each other, and they'll even branch out and have conversations outside the community and work on business deals and partnerships. And it's just so amazing and rewarding to me to have been a part of putting them together, but also just giving people a place to go for their questions because we've all submitted tickets for support and then we wait.
What's the difference between a free, so everybody could if you want to see Bridget in person, talk to her live if you're watching this, and every single day at 2 o'clock, you could reach out to Bridget. But Bridget, what is the difference between you're free going in there versus a paid? Is it paid? Is you getting all the tools? What's the difference looking like?
Essentially, I try to sum it up with like the free is the education, the paid are the resources and tools. So I'll educate you. I'll show you how to build whatever system that you're looking for. I have 1,500 videos on YouTube and in my community. So I'll show you how to do it. But if you want the resource I'm providing to my paid members, like this is done, If you want that, that's in my paid community. Also, I provide other software because there's a lot of people who start like agencies and coaching programs, and they rely on their time as their service. What I actually rely on is the tools. So I provide tools like an AI ads manager that they can white label, because my goal is to help them increase their reoccurring income. Also, I provide other tools like a social media autopilot. I have my own GPT. I have like a AI lead system that I provide, so that, because I don't want them to just sign up for something. I want them to sign up and then start crushing it. And I want to give them every tool and resource at my fingertips that they could possibly need to crush it. And most people don't even use all the things. Sometimes people don't even show up ever for open office hours. They just use the tools, and that's good for them. But it's providing that well-rounded experience, because they're my client, right? So if they're my client, I want to be everything that they need to help them reach their goal, whatever that may be.
It's very interesting, Bridget, because not everybody can have the tools to create a lot of stuff, but it's like if I go to Home Depot and I see, how to use the drywall and the hammer, I don't really know how to use it. And then somebody tells me less than 5 minutes, this is not what the hammer you need this particular one, you need this. And the tool is one particular thing, but you're providing the training. I think that's what makes it very, very unique, that you have so much guidance and you're taking people to the correct thing, where all the tools, the AIs, the paid ads, everything you're doing, you provide to the community. I also want to say, going to the last thing is, I want to thank you for being on this, to share your story about your mom, to share about, to reach out to you. And I really want everybody to like interact and jump on your calls as well. And I want to share one last thing. It was the reason why I'm very thankful, very proud, and help, to be honest with you, your time is very, very valuable. And just to do this, I want to share the last part of your husband's story with everybody. And you limited your time, but you're able to effectively use your time and spend more time with your family and your husband based on that. So the last thing is, and everybody who listens to this, you could relate on utilizing your time and utilizing different tools. So you said to me, like, your husband's cancer scare took from your time being out. You had a bunch of automation, and then you already limited more to that. Tell us about, well, first of all, is everything okay with your husband? Like,
Yes.
tell us about that. What happened? What happened there?
So we had a local lawn care business, and one day, or it was actually in the middle of the night, he just woke up yelling out in pain. And my husband's not someone who's like that. So it freaked me out. And I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? What's happening? And he's literally laying in the floor, rolling around in pain. I was like, about to call 911. I was freaking out. He wouldn't let me call 911. You know how you guys are. So he was like, no, I don't, and so I was like, okay, well, you're going to the doctor. So the next day we go to urgent care, all basically fast forward this whole year. The doctor thought, because he's so young and because we found out he broke his back, but they're like, why does a man your age, how do they break their back? They said that his injury was like he fell off a roof. And so that's how damaged his back was. So they thought it must be cancer. So we did all this tests. We did, this went on for a year. It's test after test after test. Finally, we found out that he had osteoporosis, which is still kind of strange for his age. But during that year, I was reminded again about like what I experienced with my mom. About, I've spent all these years hustling and going to events and doing all these like podcasts and things. I couldn't pass yours because you're amazing. But I just, yeah, love your hustle, by the way. Love it, love it. But I spent all this time hustling, and when I thought I'm going to lose my husband, I was literally praying, and I don't want to start crying now, but I was literally praying like, God, I'm just at a point now where like we're really reaping the rewards of my hard work, and my business is like doing amazing, and don't take him from me now, like I really don't want to cry. But I just thought that's so unfair because he's been my cheerleader, my support system. And I just thought, I cannot even imagine. It's like I've spent all this time working, and now for what if he can't enjoy it with me? So it really opened up my eyes to like what's really important. And I think once we reach that financial goal in our business, whatever that may be, when do you say, okay, enough's enough? Now I'm going to focus on the things that are important to me. Like, when is enough money, or when is enough sales, or what's your bank account going to look like before you say, okay, I did this. I can now step back and I can like really focus on the whole reason I built this in the first place. You know, if I spend the next 5 years crushing it and I have millions of dollars in the bank, but I have no husband, and I spent the last 5 years that I had with my husband in my office 20 hours a day working, I'm going to hate that. I will live the rest of my life regretting that. And that's something that money, you can't buy that type of time with the people that you love. There's no amount of money that I would trade for that.
Thank you, Bridget, for that story. And hopefully everybody realizes they think about how much time to put into a client until something happens to them that they just can't realize to shorten up their time. Even though like sometimes these health scares, God or somebody gives us that really cherishes it. So now when I do play pool with somebody, when I play bowling with somebody, when I go out with somebody, a family member, when I go out with even my own mother, like I'm like, Ma, are you enjoying yourself? You're okay? Like I try to live like my dad was here. I try to live like every time is more precious. Like I lost my grandmother, 2 months ago, and I lost my dad. And I'm like, the more time that I have, even though I'm tired, I just always go outside and try to live a life for them. Even clients, they try to ask for your time. And sometimes I put my phone on do not disturb to focus on those people that you really love. And unfortunately, things happen that your husband had to have that scare in order for us to spend more time together. I want to thank you, Bridget, for your time, and thank you so much for sharing your stories. And I think to realize what I'm getting from all of this is like a person whose mother or father passes away creates more automation. Even for me, even like my health scares is like it looks at your time, and then you like, all right, now how can you work 3 hours a week or 3 hours a day? And I even appreciate you jumping on so many daily calls. And people say, how could you jump on a daily call? You're just doing a one-to-many. You're helping out so many people in bulk. And I think anybody could do the same. I could go back to doing the same, and I was doing it and then I just stopped. But I think the consistency of you doing something for 5 years, I did it for a month and I gave up. But I think sales is not selling. Sales is like sharing experiences with other people. So you're helping out others. It's not even making a sale from it. It's like telling everybody how to do it. So I appreciate you jumping on this call, and everybody wants to jump on your daily calls. And I wish that they seen this video and they're like, I heard about your mother, I heard about your husband, and you helped me break free. Hopefully your story helps other people break free from their own time being trapped. That's a long definition, but any last things, Bridget, you want to give advice to people who are looking to starting out with creating recurring income, freeing up their time? Any type of last advice, any golden nuggets you could give from all of this?
Honestly, the main thing is start automating as soon as possible. If you do something twice, automate it. But don't be like, I'm just starting my business and I'm gonna not do anything to get sales until I have this perfect automated system. That's what everyone thinks that you have to do. And that's what turns people from business owners to like lifetime learners. You want to just get started. If you need a form, look, when I first got started, I had a form because that's what I knew how to create. And I shared the long, ugly link that wasn't even branded to me on social media and chats because I was cold messaging people. But who cares? I started, and I had to start somewhere, and I had to get blocked 45 times before I realized this isn't a great strategy. I need my own website. But you have to get started. And then as you work through the process, you just start automating and automating and automating. And don't think that you're going to be the master of everything. If you don't take action, you're not going to know what you need on step 10. There's no way to predict on step 1 what you need on step 10. So just get started on step 1 and then slowly build your system based on what you actually need instead of what you think you're going to need a year from now. That's the biggest tip that I could possibly give you. Don't over automate. It's a horrible mistake.
Sounds good, Bridget. Everybody wants, I thought SaaS was going to be a passive income to just, SaaS is actually safe and, help me keep my clients. And I want to just say, like, I agree with Bridget, just at least get one sale. Just, if you find something doing it over and over again, then you can just automate it. But just don't create an automation. You don't even know the simple steps. Do the manual work first and then create a little automation. Don't do fully automated. This life is not fully automated.
Yeah, well, what people do is they allow that to paralyze them.
Yes.
Because they're like, I don't know how to set up an email campaign. I don't know how to do this. And then they just do nothing. But the thing is, and I always say, if you have 2 hours a day to work on your business, 1 hour should be learning the tools and trying to build your system. The other hour should be getting sales. Get leads, get sales. You have to focus on the things that are actually going to move the needle in your business. Then you have clients, then you have experience that you know what system you need to figure out to build.
Well, again, Bridget, thank you so much. I'll put your links down below, and thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks everybody.